Sripada Srivallabha, Chapter 16, Part 1, 2, 3, and 4. The story of Sriman Narayan. Recollecting the divine history of Sripada and remembering Sripada's name mentally, I continued my journey. My heart felt elated with joy as I was approaching Kurungada, which was the present place of residence of Sripada. I saw a sugarcane field on the way. The farmer of that field was comfortably seated on a cot. He invited me with humility, "Sir, please take rest here for some time. You can drink sugarcane juice and leave. Please come." I drank the sugarcane juice offered by the farmer. It was very sweet. He was very happy to know that I was going for the darshan of Sripada. The farmer began to narrate. "Sir, my name is Sriman Narayan. My surname is Maladi. Our native place is Malyadripuram. In due course of time, that village's name changes Maladi. The native place of Sri Bapnare is also Malyadripuram, and his surname is also Maladi. But he is a Brahmin and I belong to the Kama caste. We had close association with the family of Sri Bapnare. When Sripada was 8 years old, we left Malyadripuram and migrated to Pitikapuram. The conditions in our native village became adverse. The financial position was very critical. We could endure the troubles due to our debts. We sold away all fixed and movable properties and reached Pitikapuram only with the clothing we had on us. Sri Bapnare treated us well and gave us food and drink. We wanted to take on the lease of the agricultural land of Sri Bapnare and engage in its cultivation. We prayed to Sri Bapnare, "It is not desirable for us to eat like parasites. You gave us food and water and saved our lives. It is painful to sell firewood in the same place where we had earlier sold flowers." That was the reason why we left our village and came to Pitikapuram. Please have mercy on us and give your land to us for lease. We will grateful to you, kindly consider. On that day, Sripada was in the house of Sri Bapnare. Sripada remarked that the food available in the house of Sri Bapnare is equal to divine prasad. It is not available for those who have benefit of divine grace. It is impossible for the common people to get darshan of a great tapasvi like Sri Bapnare. You got this good fortune because of the good merit you earned previously. Sri Bapnare said, "We have already given our land to cultivators. They are cultivating the lands. It is contrary to the ethical principles to remove them in the absence of justifiable grounds. Have patience for some more days. Some other way will be found." Then Sripada said, "Here are a fistful of black grams. Tie them carefully in a cloth and move towards the west. After the fulfillment of your desire, throw away these bad grams. Can't the Lord of the universe, who provides food to the frog encased in a rock, arrange food and drink for you?" After taking the meals in the house of Sri Bapnare, we started our journey westward with the black gram tied to our apron fingers. On account of the mercy of Sripada, we did not experience any paucity of food and water. Food was available without asking of it. This was a great wonder. We crossed Andhra state and reached Karnataka state. On the way, we saw a cottage. An old couple was there in the cottage. They also belonged to the Kama caste. They had only one son. He died of a snake bite. After some days, their son's wife drowned and died while taking a bath in the Krishna river. Their son did not have any children. There was no one to look after the old couple in their old age. Their relatives wanted to seize their property. They were ingratiating themselves with the old couple with their sweet words. The old pair was in a dilemma as how to partition their properties between those relatives. We received the hospitality of those old people. We were facing some obstacles whenever we wanted to leave the old couple's cottage. At one time, we stubbornly wanted to start on our journey. Suddenly, all the people in the house suffered from vomiting and diarrhea. When we wanted to leave after they we covered, the old couple prevented us. Their affection for us enhanced. It was not liked by their relatives. They were feeling that we were staying in the house to snatch the property. The black ram tied in the cloth began to give unbearable foul smell. We threw away the black ram given by Sripada, thinking that they were no longer required. We decided to stay there only, come what may. The relatives wanted the properties of the old couple but were not interested in them. As we also belonged to their caste, the old couple was determined to adopt us and hand over the properties to us. Their relatives were observing these matters. It was very painful to them, so they arrived at some agreement among themselves. They wanted to divide the property equally among themselves and drive us away from the house in some way or the other. There was an astrologer who was well known to the relatives. They offered secret inducement to him and brought him to the house of the old couple. The astrologer told, "Your guests are of utmost misfortune. Wherever they reside, fortune will not like to stay in that house. Not only that, all sorts of poverty will grip them. Send them away from your house as early as possible." For that the aged husband and his wife said, "If they have the misfortune in their horoscope as suggested by you, some measures of relief must surely have been mentioned in the scriptures. We request you to conduct puja and other rituals to nullify their misfortunes and confer all auspicious fortunes." We were prepared for any amount of expenditure. The entire world moves around under the control of the Devas. The Devas are under the control of mantras. Such mantras are under the control of Brahmins. Therefore, virtuous Brahmins like you are Devas on the earth for us. Kindly honor our request. The astrologer had no other option except to make arrangements for the worship. "My dear Shankar, but rain is required for the paddy crop. Sacrifices gives rain. Sacrifice has come from rituals. The Veda is the source of all ritualistic activities. Man should adore the Devas by way of sacrifice. The Devas should give all prosperity to them. In this way, there is mutual dependence between humans and celestials. Sacrifices are of 5 kinds, namely Deva Yagna, Manusya Yagna, Bhuta Yagna, Pitra Yagna and Brahma Yagna. The Leelas of Sripada are very strange. The sacrifice was performed by virtuous Brahmins with the monetary aid of the old couple to achieve auspicious blessings. In fact, there were no afflictions in our horoscope. By the kindness of the old couple, we had the good fortune of witnessing the most sacred sacrifice. Indra and other celestials are indirect gods. The priestess who preside over and conduct the yagna are in fact the direct gods with the power of the mantras. The small offerings made through the fire to Indra and other devas will multiply to satisfy the various gods. Part 1. The Mother Earth is supported by the 7. Mother Earth is supported by the cows, Vedas, Brahmins, pious wives, truthful people, people who do not seek profit, and charitable people. The bull is very necessary for cultivation. Mother cow gives useful materials like ghee, milk, curd and helps humans both in the worldly existence and also in gaining access to the other worlds. Through sacrifices and rituals, Indra and all other devas accept offerings made during the sacrifice with Vedic mantras. The Vedas are the original formal dharmas. Therefore, the earth is also supported by the Vedas. Brahmin make the people perform virtuous acts like sacred sacrifices. So the earth is also supported by the Brahmins. Virtuous wives protect the dharma from getting disturbed through the efficacy of their virtuousness. Truthful people protect the earth by their adherence to the truth with their truthful resolve. People who do not seek profits, that is, those who forsake greediness, distribute the sweetness in cooperative life to many others, charitable persons with their earthly wealth and the wealth of merits of the other worlds, rescue distressed, downtrodden and unfortunate people. Owing to our visit to a great virtuous personage like Srivallabha, Sripada, who is the embodiment of the sacrifice, used as an instrument, and he indirectly completed all the process of the sacrifice and blessed us with good fortune. Part 2. The way in which Sripada rescued devotees. The sacrifice was completed without any obstacles. The old couple decided that we would be their heirs. Their relative did not like the way things happened. In one of our fields, there was garden of chilies. There were palm trees on the four borders of that garden. Those palm trees were given to the Godas for drawing toddy from the trees. The relatives tried to collect the harvest of the chilies in group waste and attempted to take them out. Bags full of ripe chilies were plugged. They kept those bags on bulk carts and were ready to move. I went into their field at that time. I was astonished on seeing the scene. I was alone and they were there surprisingly. I saw a bear drinking toddy from one of the palm trees. The bear jumped down from the tree. All were afraid of the bear. With its sharp claws, it had the ability to tear the muscles of man. Blood could also be poisoned if its claws pierced the body. The bear directly came to the blood cart. The relatives ran out of the terrible fear. I was very afraid and began chanting the name of Sripada. That horrible bear turned very docile. It was calm and was clapping its hands whenever I uttered the name of Sripada. I reached home in the cart drawn by two bullocks full with bags of ripe chilies. The bear walked in front of the car. This caused great wonder not only to the old couple in our house but also to all the neighbors. We chanted the name of Sripada all throughout the night. The bear was also peacefully and rhythmically beating its hands in tune with the music during the chanting of the name of Sripada. The bear also received the prasad of Sripada very happily. When Sriman Narayan was giving these details, the bear entered the sugarcane field. On seeing it, I perspired profusely out of fear, but it exhibited produces of palm wine 261 Sripada Srivallabha Charitram by its utmost friendliness towards me. When started chanting the name of Sripada, it began to dance with joy. Sriman Narayan resumed by saying, once a tantric came to our nearby villages. He obtained some powers by means of some evil practices. He collected lots of money from those who came under the influence. The relatives of the old couple took his help. The tantric came to our village. He applied his tantra on the bear. The strength of the bear was completely lost. The relatives were overjoyed. The bear slept motionless. By one yogi exercise, the tantric identified closely with the consciousness of the bear, and by another yogic exercise, he attracted all its power into him. Part 3. Sripada saves his devotees from their past karmas. The playful pastimes of Sripada are unimaginable. It is a laborious matter to search connections between causes and effects. Action will never occur without a cause. Indra caused terrific rains according to his dharma. Sri Krishna uplifted the Govardhan hillock in accordance with his dharma and fulfilled his Gopala dharma. In the same fashion, Sripada also allowed the yogic powers of the tantric to work. The bear was subjected to the torture by the yogic powers of the tantric. However, some element can merit in the bear turned it into a devotee of Sripada. It cried silently. Sripada will surely near the limitations of all living beings. By dispensing the results of one's past karma, he will diminish the intensity of the results of sinful actions with his grace. Discourses about Datta Charitra and the devotional singing of the name of Sripada Srivallabha went on regularly in our house. There were many doubts in the minds of the devotees assembled there. Some of them were absent-minded, but some other sincere devotees had unshakable devotion towards Sripada. A miracle took place while the devotional chanting of Sripada's name was going on. The bear, which lay down motionless like a dead one, began to regain consciousness. It recovered all its previous strength. It jumped with joy when the devotee sang the name of Sripada. The yoga of Sri Dattatreya is far superior to all the yogic practices of the past. The sole consciousness of the bear was transformed from the bear into the tantric. The soul consciousness of the tantric was transferred from human nature into the nature of a bear. The nature of the bear was extinguished and human nature was taking shape in the bear. Though he was in a human form, since his nature was changed into the nature of a bear, the tantric started behaving like a bear. His own followers tied him with ropes and left him in the forest. The bear started speaking in human languages. Sirs, I was moneylender in my previous birth. I used to collect exorbitant interests and trouble people very much. As a result, I now am born as a bear. On account of my past meritorious virtue, I received the grace of Sripada. Please note that Sripada is verily Lord Datta himself. I am going to get a nobler birth due to his grace. The tantric did many sinful acts. In addition, he wanted to harm a devotee of Sripada and a dumb creature like me. Sripada punished him for that. Both protection and punishment dwell in Sripada. He is always gracious towards those who adore him with steadfast devotion. He punishes those who abuse devotees and those who create difficulties for thisters. After undergoing the punishment, they gradually transform to be devotees. Keep on chanting the name of Sripada. I am going to obtain a nobler status. All were wonderstruck with this and continued to devotedly sing the name of Sripada. The bear was silent and remained in a trance. While the chanting of Sripada name was ongoing, 3 cobras came from somewhere. They were also in trance as the chanting of the Sripada name continued. The bear gave up its life peacefully. The 3 cobras circumambulated the bear thrice. No one could understand where from the snakes came and what for they came. We conducted funeral rites to the bear as was done for humans. The cobras stayed in our house for the whole day. Sripada's name was our sole refuge at all times and in all states. We were remembering that sacred name. The cobras drank the milk offered to Sripada. The cobras healed women in their menstrual periods on anyone suffering from foul defilement were in the group. Some people were afraid to visit our house because the cobras were in our house. The devotees of Datta used to come freely to our house. Those cobras were absorbed in devotion whenever they heard the name of Datta of Sripada. The relatives of the old couple unawfully occupied some space in their house. The village elders designated that space as disputed one. Permission was also granted to those relatives to grow vegetables in that place till a final decree was delivered. The relatives influenced the village elders with an enticement of money. Because of this, the final judgment was not delivered and the judgment was being adjourned on flimsy grounds. There was a snake pit in that disputed land. In the past, people used to pour milk into that snake pit during Naga Chaturthi. As there were no snakes in that pit, people used to pour milk there without any fear. Those who were offering milk used to pray, Lord Naga. Lord Naga, grant us the fortune of your appearance. Fulfill our desires. All those who prayed like this knew fully well that there was not even one cobra there. Sripada is very skillful. Naga Chaturthi day was very near. This time those who used to pour milk in the snake pit and pray were hesitating to go near the snake pit. Eventually Naga Chaturthi day approached. How strange is this world? They prayed, Lord Naga, kindly appear. However, when Lord Naga appears, they rule away with fear. When we, along with the old couple, placed the milk offered to Sripada at the snake pit and prayed, 3 cobras appeared. They drank the milk and went back into the snake pit. Except us, no one came to pour milk into the snake pit that year. Part 4. Sripada teaches a lesson to people who try to kill serpents, protecting his devotees. A conjurer came to our village on the day of Naga Chaturthi. He was welcomed by our relatives and the village headman. He was capable of bringing an poisonous serpent under his control by immobilization it with the efficacy of his mantras. He was also capable of bringing back to life anyone who was bitten by the snake. He had the line of Garuda in his palm. The scriptures hold that serpents would come under the control of man who have the line of Garuda in their palms. The headman and the conjurer were contemplating to kill the 3 cobras in our house. Fires were arranged all around the vicinity of the snake pit. The conjurer sat on his seat and conducted weird tantric rites. He chanted mantras loudly. We were pained because it was sinful to kill noble serpents. However, we were helpless. We prayed that Sripada alone had to rescue the innocent serpents of the noble class. The serpents came out of the pit as if they were subjugated. This gave a lot of joy to the magician and his followers. However, the joy was short-lived. The serpent that came out became bigger and bigger every moment. The magician read the mantras loudly. The serpent moved towards the raging fires as if they were subdued by the efficacy of the mantras. What a wonder! The fire in the path got extinguished as though the fire God gave them the passage. Finally, all the fire died down. The serpents freely departed from there. The conjurer and his followers were aghast. In the meanwhile, the elder son of the headman developed symptoms of a person bitten by a snake. It was strange, the symptoms of snake bite appeared, and the body became poisonous without the snake bite. The eyesight of the headman's second son grew dim. It was also unusual for him to become blind suddenly. The conjurers chanted many mantras, but to no avail. The line of Garuda in his palm changed shape and completed his disappear. A great fear seized the headman of the village. There was no one to save him except the savior of the helpless. Sripada, the strength of the mantras in the conjurer diminished completely. The conjurer died within few minutes. Who knows how the play of Sripada would be at a particular time? The village headman came running to us wailing. What could we do? We told him that his 2 sons would be alive if he remembered Sripada with single-minded devotion. The corpse of the magician was in the house of the village headman. The 2 sons of the village headman became victims of the irony of fate. Our kinsmen shuddered with fear. The whole atmosphere was pathetic. The corpse of the magician was taken to the burial ground. The funeral pyre was arranged and fire was lit. There was a sudden movement in the burning dead body. The corpse cried to save it from the burning flames. The gods of the burial ground, however, refused to pour water on the burning pyre. They maintained that the magician became a ghost and re-entered the body, and that he would indulge in all evil activities of the ghost with the same human body if he were to be saved. Day 268, Sripada Srivallabha Charitramatam added that if his corpse was burned to ashes, it would remain merely as a ghost and trouble only a few who came under its control by entering into their bodies. They thought that a ghost who enters into his own body would have more powers than a ghost without a body. That ghost in its own human body would cause great destruction and misery. The peculiar method of Sripada Srivallabha is to reveal the real nature of his incarnation by making people experience the fruits of their past actions, re-entering suitable feelings in their minds in accordance with their past karma. A kind one among the guards of the burial ground who could not bear the suffering of the dead body poured some water. The water did not put out the fire. On the other hand, it made the fire burn more brightly as if ghee was poured into it. Even though the conjurer's body was engulfed in flames, it did not get burned. His limbs were not disfigured. He was experiencing the suffering that was to be experienced in hell while he was still in his body. Shankar Bhatt, creatures suffering many kinds of troubles, reside in Rorva and other greater hells for millions of years. While taking a bath, washing Shikha, bringing the towel, and when taking meals, water is sprinkled while uttering the mantra Rahure Punya Mineliye Marbuda Nivasinam Ardhinam Udakam Dattam Akshaya Napatishatu. The water sprinkled while uttering this mantra will quench the thirst of those who have been dwelling in Rorava and other hells from countless millions of years. Sripada is an easily accessible golden treasure to the righteous people. He is like Yamadharma Raja to those fallen from virtue and those who commit heinous sins. The dead body of the conjurer rose from the funeral pyre. It started jumping and reached the house of the village headman without being burnt and at the same time undergoing excruciating agony from the fire and crying aloud. The conjurer reached the house of the village headman. All of us were at the house of the village headman narrating the stories of Lord Datta, singing the divine name of Lord Sripada Srivallabha, who is the divine, glorious and new incarnation of Lord Datta. The song of the second name, Datta Digambara, Sripada Vallabha Datta Digambara, charged the atmospheric air there with holiness. The divine rays from the gross form of Sripada Srivallabha purify those who are in close proximity to the gross form. The divine rays emanating from his subtle form purify the entire earth. The sacred rays emanating from his casual body purify millions and millions of universes. His grateful casual body will always remain in the wise, good and blissful, non-dualistic state. It rests in eternal tranquility. The superb heavenly rays spreading from that form sanctify of those quasi-incarnation great siddhas and great yogis who dwell in states of Salokya, Samipya and Sayujya. When we chant his divine name, he stays there unseen by us. He proves his power and position through his divine miracles. The conjurer derided Sripada, saying, "Is Datta Digambara? Is Sripada Datta? Is Sripada also Digambara? Is he a naked lunatic?" The conjurer was brought from the burial ground while the flames were tormenting his body. He was brought in a stark naked state to the place where the name of Sripada was being sung and was made to stand before the devotees. Was it simple thing? Was it possible to ordinary yogis? Have we heard such leelas at any time? Have we seen them? Everything was strange, extremely wonderful, unheard, and it defied logic. Those who bow their head humbly before the auspicious feet of Sripada and seek his refuge will be happy. They will be happy like young infants under complete protection and in the lap of their mother. They will derive all auspicious. While the singing of the name of Sripada was going on, the conjurer was also dancing and was getting relief. If he stopped dancing, pain was increasing. It was quite troublesome for him to dance naked. He realized that it was all his own guilt and that he was experiencing the results of that guilt in this fashion. He recollected that he consigned many snakes to fire with the strength of his mantras. He thought that it was the fruit of the abuse of great people and Digambara assisted during the period of his ignorance. Repentance swelled in him and he surrendered to Sripada wholeheartedly. After this development in his mind, the raging fire cooled down. I gave my apparel to him to wear. He later participated with great enthusiasm in the divine singing. The eyesight of the second son of the village headman was completely restored by the time of sunrise. When the cow's milk offered to Sripada was poured into the mouth of the elder son of the village headman, his stupor state decreased and he regained consciousness. The conjurer left somewhere declaring that he would lead a virtuous life ever remembering the name of Sripada. The village headman issued a decree giving the disputed land to the old couple. In the snake pit inhabited by 3 king cobras, 3 Adambara trees came up. After some time, an ascetic named Dattananda Avaduta came to our house unseen. Asked, he sat at the base of the Adambara trees and meditated on one Saturday in the evening. He offered halwa prepared by us to Sripada. He also gave it to us a prasad and asked us to eat. the abbey, Sripada used to sit near the base of an Adambara tree in his maternal grandfather's house in Pithapuram. With a silver bowl filled with halwa, his mother used to feed to Sripada with great affection. Sripada, Srivallabha, Narasimha Saraswati, and Swami Samartha are symbolized by these three Adambara trees. In the future, the seeds of these three Adambara trees will grow to be Adambara tree in the birthplace of Sripada. His divine idol would be installed under that Adambara tree. Those who offer halwa, the Sripada ideal installed at the base of that Adambara tree during the time of Shani Pradosha will have the grace of Sripada as a golden treasure within easy reach. Sriman Narayana thus concluded, my devotion was strength. After hearing these wonderful stories, I left for Kurungada the next day. Victory unto Sri Sripada Srivallabha.